Women of Reddit, what is a 100% myth about women? Julia Cott said. And most bra fittings are insanely off. They said I was a D or DD, so I was wearing a smaller bra for way too long. Our abra that fits is truly amazing. Aska09 said. For 2 years or so, I'd been wearing bras that were 2 cups too small for me and thought that maybe my upper body's just weirdly shaped. Then I went shopping for a new bra, got told the bras I've been wearing were way too small, had some fitted to my size, and finally understood the power of a well-fitted bra. Don't throw away capes said. I used to think that only women got wet dreams because 1. I'd never heard of a man having a wet dream and I'd never had one myself, and 2. Wet. Imagine my confusion when my friends had a conversation about them. Kidek said. That you can tell how much sex a woman has had by looking at her genitals. No, you can't. Also, that having a lot of sex makes the vagina loose. Apparently some people think the vaginal muscles are magic since apparently they're the only muscles in the body that get weaker with more use. Isaac Kiatarj said. Honestly, sending a dick pic to me is the same as sending a pic of a weird bug. I'm literally never going to think it's hot. I'll probably think it's kinda gross, maybe a bit silly looking. Sometimes there's something unusual about it that makes me stare a bit. Example, Willem Dafoe dancing naked, obviously NSFW, but more in an "oh, that's weird" kind of way, rather than in an "oh, I definitely want that" way. Vapors and Spleen said. We're not a problem to be solved. If you want to date a woman and she is resistant, you will not solve that. No matter how many rom-com movies you watch, where a man spends 90 minutes of your time annoying the woman he is interested in and gets her, this does not happen in real life. Move on. Find someone who is more likely to reciprocate your affections. Source, was stalked by someone, which stopped when I told him that if he showed up, I'd push him down the front steps, so grow up already. Clusterfucky Shitshow said. I divorced an abusive, cheating prick and basically became a single mom with full custody overnight. I took a lot of time to even think of dating again, like years, and during those years, it wasn't "you're attractive and still single so you must be picky," it's "you're attractive and still single, and divorced, so you must be crazy." Sure, whatever. If it's crazy to be single by choice to both protect my kid and not project my issues, including PTSD, onto another human being undeserving of that, then fine, I'm a psycho. But now I'm single because I am picky, and it has zero to do with appearance, height, money, etc. and everything to do with personality, and I have every right to be. So do you. You don't owe anyone anything. Grand Emperor Sloth said. Though we are either a girly girl, tomboy, gamer girl, or some other stereotype when we can be all of them or none of them. Humans are multifaceted and we all have different experiences. I grew up with only brothers, am athletic, lift weights, have a BFF who is a professional makeup artist. Subsequently I am very good at makeup, can cook, went to fashion school, and am the breadwinner of my family. You can't put me in a box. IMK said. 12H I am 52 and I heard this so much when I was younger. Looking back, I would say that at least 75% of the advice I got regarding how to date women was horrible. A lot of that advice was from women. As a result, I have tons of memories of doing annoying things that I never wanted to do in the first place. Eventually I figured out that, regardless of what self-appointed dating experts said, women were more than capable of making it obvious that they like you and that anything else was probably a waste of time at best. Much Difference said. My faith part of that myth is the implication that women are simply being stupid or intentionally difficult by choosing not to hold their periods in until the most opportune time. As if we have the ability, but are going EHH I could wait until I get home, but fuck it. I'ma change a tampon in a public restroom just for the thrill of it. Really feel like ruining a pair of pants today while I'm at it. Sad Panda 247 said. That it's easier for women to get laid, or that we have men hassling us 24/7. Ugly woman here, and I can vouch for being able to go about my daily business without any catcalls, harassment, or general intimidation from men. Nobody is sliding in my DMs anywhere. I have been single my whole life, I'm in my late 30s. It really boils my piss that there's this general assumption that all women merely just have to exist in order to get attention. That is reserved for attractive women. Now, I'm not saying all this in a lamentable way. Yes, I'm so lonely and starved of physical affectation that it physically hurts at times. My self-esteem is non-existent as a result, and I have severe mental issues in relation to my appearance and body. However, I appreciate that I can walk anywhere without the fear of being hassled or intimidated. I can appreciate I'm not going to randomly get unsolicited dick pics out of the blue. I also find it pretty easy making new friends because I'm not perceived as a threat to other women, and there's no ulterior motive behind men becoming friends with me. Sad Panda 247 said. Edit. I totally understand the reflex reaction to hearing someone talk poorly of their appearances to try and reassure them to the contrary, and to insist that beauty comes from within. We have to love ourselves first before anyone else can, etc., etc. I've heard it all before. I have gone to prolonged counseling regarding my appearance. My whole point here is not about whether I am subjectively ugly or not. I am just making a counterpoint to the incredibly frustrating general assumption that all women get hit on or can get a guy at the drop of a hat. It is categorically not true. This is my lived experience, and I'm sure it is wildly different from the billions of other women living on this planet. But I'm sure it is also a shared experience with billions of women. Once again, the conclusion is that women aren't one homogeneous mass. So it just really grinds my gears when guys say that women have it easier and could get laid at any time. This is not my lived experience, even if it is that of other women, so I find it frustrating to have people undermine life experiences they haven't had. Litmia at 95 said. Currently having a discussion on another subreddit about this, regarding an incel in the UK who just went on a shooting rampage. About how we should be more sympathetic to men who struggle with women. I mentioned the lack of attention throughout my life, and it was met with the usual "but you could advertise yourself and guys would sleep with you." Like, yeah, that sounds amazing, and completely safe. Yeah, I'm sure if I did put an advert out, no matter how ugly I am, a handful of men would sleep with me, but that's revolting. I know plenty of women who have had virtually no male attention throughout their lives. They don't get angry. They don't blame men. They blame themselves and get on with their lives. Sad Panda 247 said. Yes, I'm in the UK and have been seeing the same disgusting arguments in relation to this. The irony being that the origins of the incel movement was actually down to a woman airing her frustrations about being in her mid-20s and without sex. It somehow ended up evolving into this grotesque movement instead. The idea that we should try to be sympathetic in any way to the men who justify using violence because they can't find a partner is appalling. I do get frustrated at being single. I do internalize my anger and frustrations. I do struggle with depression that is often made worse by this aspect of my life. But I would never, ever, blame someone else for it, far less use violence as a result of me feeling entitled to getting laid or having a partner. Street Independent 62 said. Yes. I wouldn't say I'm ugly, but I'm definitely not hot cute in the way people usually think. Which seems like a problem at first. But it means I've never once been harassed, touched, stared at, made uncomfortable by guys, and I've never once been sent pics or anything either. The one time I was flirted with by a stranger, it was this kid at my college who was about my age and just came up to me and asked if I wanted to get coffee. I said no thanks and he left. All the other times I've been flirted with, asked out, were by people I already knew and they never did anything inappropriate. All I had to do was say no once. Maybe there's something else about me that makes me seem like less of an easy target? I have no idea, lol, and unless someone tells me honestly, which is unlikely considering most people aren't willing to tell you if you're ugly or not, lol, I probably won't know the answer. But it's worth it, emo, to feel safer. Coffee Blossom said. Oh, let's see. We can never truly be just friends with a man. We're too emotional to make good decisions. We have a freshness seal, and our genitals will become permanently ruined with each partner or each sex act. When we do it with other women, it doesn't count. If we're not married, or at least engaged, by 25, something is wrong with us. If we don't have kids by a certain age, or don't want kids at all, something is wrong with us. We pee out of our vaginas. Once a month, we become totally incapable of rational thought. We're supposed to be passive. Our orgasms are useless, or simply don't actually exist. We're naturally better at tasks related to housework and childcare. We are nurturers by nature. Our lives lack meaning and purpose once we lose our mainstream sex appeal, or if we don't meet current beauty standards in the first place. When we complain of pain fatigue etc., we are being overly dramatic, exaggerating, or making it all up for attention. Coffee Blossom said, "Lesbians don't exist, they just haven't met the right guy yet. Bisexual and pansexual women don't exist, they're just seeking attention or performing for men. Trans women don't exist, they're just men in dresses. Menopause isn't a normal, natural, albeit not always pleasant, part of life, it's a sickness. We're naturally hairless. All of us want to get married and have kids yesterday. All of us liked dolls and tea sets growing up. We like receiving dick pics out of the blue. We only date jerks. None of us will date someone under 5 feet 9 inches. We're all the same. There's some kind of economy code that a guy can use to make us instantly fall in love with him. And it's all the same for every woman." Saudi Gunslinger said, "OMG, the just friends thing. My best friend is a guy, we grew up together and I consider him family. My ex-H could never understand and was insanely jealous. My best friend instinctively understood this and backed off without completely writing me out of his life. He would still call and text occasionally to catch up, was never flirty with me and never shit-talked my now ex, always extended the olive branch and invited him if he invited me to anything, which was rare to begin with, and was generally great. He respected me and my relationship and simply let me know with his actions that he was still my friend regardless of how my partner felt about him. When I eventually divorced, my friend was right there helping me move and reached out more to me, still always in a friendly and non-romantic way. The way a family member would be. I vowed to myself I'd never put up with a romantic partner who can't accept my friendship. My current so understands and has become friends with my friend and now they talk more than I do lol." Everyone's Hero said, "Or that all women have this super strong maternal urge or want to care for babies or develop one as soon as they have kids. Like we don't automatically know what to do with a baby when someone hands us one. I've known a surprising number of moms who said they don't like kids, and although they love their own children and would never thought of harming them or leaving them, they didn't ever feel that super strong maternal bond with them. Especially right away." Unlimited Soup and Salad said, "The women who are attracted to men love muscles. That's true for some women, to an extent, but I know very few women who are attracted to bodybuilders, and a lot of the young women I know prefer a softer physique. Several of us actually have an aversion to developed physiques and are attracted to men with belly fat. Lots of women want a person who will eat and lounge with them without obsessing over macros and spending hours in the gym. It's great to care about your health, but being very concerned with the aesthetics of your body represents a philosophical and lifestyle mismatch for a lot of people who are just piloting our meat suits to get to the pizza and sex. Of course, if you want to be with a woman who prioritizes her appearance, spends a lot of time and money on it, and has a restrictive diet and exercise regimen, she may have different expectations." Lisa Kilmer right now said, "That we are a myth in general. No, we are human. We don't magically make anything better just because we are girls. Women, we carry babies and give birth. Men, women, find yourselves first, then acquire a partner, if you want of course, but women are not goddesses, muses, or divine-like preachers. Thanks for thinking that, but we also pee, poop, fart, get sick, we smell, we get messy periods. A lot of us hate cleaning, cooking. Other women definitely don't want kids or even want to be around them. We can love being muscular and not girly looking, and it doesn't make us less worthy. And just because we look girly, it doesn't mean we are weak or stupid." Now How said, "That all women are indirect communicators. I'm not saying they can't be, I'm not even saying the majority don't fall under this category, but personally, indirect communication goes right over my head. It's frustrating because I don't assume people can read my mind. Why should I be able to read theirs? I feel like when people assume I communicate indirectly just because I'm a girl, it leads to them not listening to what I'm saying. Instead, they try to dissect and analyze what I'm really trying to say. Also, men are just as capable of being passive-aggressive. I live with a man and he constantly thinks I'm trying to send subtle messages, and I've had to sit him down and explain that if I'm upset about something I will tell him. He on the other hand will slam doors, stomps around the house, give me the silent treatment, say nothing is wrong only to snap at me over something small. I'm making him sound awful, but he's actually a pretty great person lol." Risen Raider said, "I think this trope is a simplification of the more complex issue. one that I saw a former friend play out. He was pretty good with the ladies, and he had a rep as a rebellious bad boy type. Also unemployed, and known for laughing about how he weaseled out of looking for work, a requirement to receive benefits here. And surely enough, he seemed to hook up with girls that you wouldn't think would go for the bad boy. You know, normal girls. He took me under his wing because I could do work for him that he didn't understand how to do, and I observed him, but I also asked him how does he get these girls. He explained that he starts off kind and generous, often going into debt covering expenses for them for the first few weeks or couple months. This compels them to be generous back to him and they see he can be good. And so when he needs something, he'd ask them to help him out, and they would. And they'd give him more than he gave them, and they'd understand because he's unemployed and needs help. His attitude would become more dismissive as well, and the women would try to make it up to him, be better for him, because they saw him be nicer. It's a manipulation game for him. Show a softer side to lure them in, then they feel it's their fault when he starts acting like a prick. Lucifer said that females are not good at video games, or that they have a male friend who is boosting them to their current rank, if it's higher than theirs. And then when they find out you're actually better than them they try to deny it. It's so annoying to go in a lobby with random people and it's filled with guys who belittle you or talk down to you because you're a female. Busco Screech 26 said, the women are complicated. Humans in general can be complicated, just like they can be straightforward and direct. Not all of us are secretly hiding a novel of meaning behind simple answers. No means no, yes means yes, and nothing actually means nothing sometimes. I had an ex that would gaslight me when I said I wasn't thinking about anything and that nothing was wrong. He insisted constantly no, something is always wrong. It's never nothing with women. Nah bro, I really am just trying to eat my burrito and watch Friends, it's not that deep. Yet a reasonable avocado said that we are incapable of learning things only men would know. I worked at Lowe's and learned how to properly paint including primer and the whole 9 yards. Apparently my genitals convinced every customer that walked into my store that I don't know shit or that I'm telling them wrong. I had a guy tell me that I was a fucking idiot, no one puts colored primer over pink or red. Boy was it delightful to refuse the return of his empty paint can because the white he tried to paint over the pink wall bled through. I also hated plumbing because men acted like sissies about asking where the brass nipples were located or like you couldn't handle being asked about caulking. Seriously? Grow the fuck up. Darksherry 996 said, emotional. Everyone experiences emotions. Be it anger, happiness, sadness, irritation, you name it. Everyone. No exception. Some men will say they're not emotional but will throw a tantrum if their favorite team doesn't win or a woman rejects them. Those are all emotions, pal, sorry to break it to you. And if you consider that, men can be, in fact, more emotional on average. And just as dramatic. Man cold, the word you're looking for is sensitive. A fair amount of women are sensitive, but not inherently emotional. I, for one, am not capable of empathy, yes, actually incapable. I am very internally irritated when I have to deal with others' emotions. It's ironic, since my husband is naturally more emotional and overly empathic. Either way, we all just want to be treated as individuals, not statistics. The suburban astronaut said, any belief that starts with almost women this or that always turns out to be sexist and mostly untrue. Every person, be it man, woman, child, baby, whatever, is an individual and should be treated as such. Even PMS manifests differently from woman to woman. I sleep the entire day and get achy. My sister gets no pain at all but is extremely hangry. My mother won't eat and gets weepy. Also, no person ever 100% fits a stereotype. My sister? Super feminine and clean, but hates to cook and is a bit cold. My mother is, well, motherly. But she is also super rough and has a habit of manhandling everything and breaking stuff. Me? I love to sew and cook and care for children, but I hate makeup, and if some kids want to roll in the mud, I will beat them to it. Just approach each woman without any preconceived notions of what they act like, talk like, enjoy whatever. A Ray of Time said that we are unable to be friends with each other because we are all catty and pretend to like other women to their faces but then talk shit behind their backs. While guys are all honest and just say things to people's faces or they punch it out and are cool afterwards. My career is mostly men, so all my friend group was guys, and trust me, they talked shit about each other behind their back and pretended to like each other for the sake of the group. It's almost like we're all social creatures, lol. And I certainly never heard of any fistfight. And some of the most genuine gestures of kindness in my life were by other women, so I hate this myth that we see each other as competition. For what, dick, umfeo? Also that we can't just zone out and think about nothing, or that we can't have a problem-solving mentality. I see all of these so often on Reddit. Also that our periods sync up? Fui said. Today I learned that I know everything about women. Or more likely, that women believe much of this is myths, but it's mostly commonplace knowledge with men above the age of 22. I did see one that I didn't know kinda new. It was a woman saying if we say we are not interested, then that means we really are interested and want you to try harder, and I really wish this thread came with women posting their ages. In my small, albeit Molly world, that is an unacceptable tactic and is usually a red flag. If the woman I am courting is unable to be honest with themselves or with me, if they play intentional games from the outlook, I will absolutely forget to call them back. I want a strong woman. I need a woman who can handle my share of our life if I get sick or stuck out of state. If you agree to court a game player or otherwise weak girl, then there are far more games and untruths to follow. I think the answers here would be much different if the average age of Redditors wasn't early 20s, and this would be much more interesting instead of 13-year-old IP and bleed from different holes type of conversation. All I can do is try to learn, and I tried. Queen Lesbian 99 said that all women want an asshole for a boyfriend. The truth is, most of these abusive assholes don't show their abusive side until further into the relationship. They start with love bombing, giving way too much attention and being overly generous to create a relationship where the victim feels like they owe the abuser something. Then the abuser starts getting more controlling and starts guilting and demanding more of their partner. The partner feels it's their fault because their partner is such a good person because they've done so much for me. Then they start isolating you from your friends and family and turning you against them. They get more and more awful to you over time, but they always make it up to you by being super sweet after, which is called trauma bonding. Most women don't want a toxic relationship. It's that it's hard to recognize red flags when he's hiding them behind his back. Voiceoffafo said that breasts don't get bigger. I argued with my mom about this. I'm trying to get one that actually fits, and meanwhile my mother's carrying on like the cup size that fit me when I first filled out still fit me, and meanwhile, I'm bulging out the sides. Years later, I finally found an advocate who actually helped me get fitted for a bra, and, guess what? I'd grown. Still have no idea where my mom got the delusion that breasts don't increase in size because, as it turns out, if you put on weight, your bosom gets fat, too. On her fourth laws said, how hymens work. Myth. Some people assume it's like the freshness seal on a jar of peanut butter, completely sealing access to the vagina uterus, and that is why bleeding during penetration is expected the first time. Critical thought, if that were true, how would their periods work? Any blood would build up behind the freshness seal until she ruptured and died from infection. Additional myth, not having sex for a long time will result in the hymen resealing itself, causing it to bleed again during penetration. Fact, the hymen is closer to a flange or O-ring. It is not a complete seal. The hymen can tear if not properly relaxed through foreplay, which will lead to bleeding. These tears can later repair themselves, leading to that resealing myth. Disclaimer, I am a man, and do not know everything about female anatomy. This is just one subject I am slightly more familiar with and hear misconceptions about often, even sometimes from women. G as in Gucci said. Actually, insurance companies basically get their money from stereotyping people based on sex, age, etc. They also look at the vehicle, and its age, mileage, specifications, and even color. They gather statistics about vehicle-related incidents like collisions, thefts, etc., and from these statistics they charge differently depending on all the aforementioned factors. For example, as far as the two sexes go, a 21-year-old man and a 21-year-old woman, driving the same vehicle, with exactly the same history, the man will pay more for his insurance. But as the two people get older, assuming they both keep a spotless record, it actually switches. As men age, they become less likely to be involved in vehicular incidents, while the opposite happens for women. So really, It's not that men are better drivers than women, or that women are better drivers than men. It's the fact that a lot of the documented bad drivers are either young men or middle-aged-ish women. Not sure why, just something I find genuinely interesting that I never had a reason to post until now. Insurance companies make generalizations that will screw all of us over at some point in our lives. Scorpio Fuga said that we all want to get married as an end goal. Marriage is on the back burner of priorities for me. Although marriage is lovely and romantic, it's not a goal of mine, only an event may or may not happen as a part of my life. I don't set out to find a husband. Most of my friends are married and they're very happy. They've grown with their husbands and wives throughout their 20s and 30s and really have devoted themselves to their partners. I am so focused on my personal development at this point. A relationship with or without marriage in mind would be unfair to my partner. I also can't see myself living with someone for the rest of my life.